care to do this video, but fuck it. I don't think I performed well in this trade, all of these trades here. Uh, but I'll explain it to you shortly, or right now actually. So, and then you'll see, I can look back and see, did I really do a good job? But I know I didn't. Pre-market, the stock was moving, and as you can see here, it was spiking. Um, I don't remember what percentage it was at, but I'm sure it was under what it is now because the price is right here, and right now it's at 149%. I remember looking at the SET dilution tracker, which gives the SEC filings, or like the summary of it, a shortcut to it. I saw that it was 11 million float, which is not what it's a bit over. I like to do around 10 or less, but it was doable. Anything over 10, then I start like getting a little careful with it. But it was 11 million flow. The outstanding was 17, which is 17 right here. Um, it's burning about $1 million, but it has $11 million left in its bank account. And then when I was looking at the time, it was at like $2 and some change. So I'm looking for where the next dump will be. So right here, he says not registered, not registered. So, and I'm at the airport, by the way, so that's why you hear all this noise in the background. I'm traveling to another state. Oh, not another state. I'm just traveling out of the country. So, um, I'm traveling out of the country, so um, yeah, I'm going to Azores, which is in Portugal, and I'm trading at the airport. Surprisingly, I do better. Some people they trade better when they're like traveling. Other people don't. For me, it's like I trade better at when I'm traveling, but sometimes I do bad. This time I did really good. I'm not even gonna rush though. But as I was saying in this trade, these were not registered. And as you scroll down, this was registered, but at $1.10. It's already at $1.02. I mean, $2. Um, and then so that didn't really like matter to me. So they already have this active because they already reached that price point. Then I looked at the equity line. They have an equity line of they can dump up to $20 million, $3.5 million. I don't have all the details on this, but until I pay for the subscription, but I'm not there yet. Then they have a shelf, which I got to get a better understanding what a shelf is. But it has $100 million that they can dump. Um, but when I looked at it, I'm like, okay, the way I took it was they can dump at any moment. They have an active offering or whatever, an active what is this? Convertible note, which is different from an offering. It's all dumping shares, but it's different in the way they do it. So uh, this is a conversion price. Um, so I knew they can dump whenever they want. That's for sure. Because the other one is equity line. It's a different way of doing it. I just don't know. I haven't learned that part yet. But I know at some point they're gonna dump. That's why they pumped up the stock. It's not just up just to be up. They purposely manipulate it up because they're ready to dump. So when I looked at this, it was on a yearly high, and there was no resistance. So I wanted to really long it and hold on to it. But they had so much dilution ready. I'm like, I can't really trust it. So I went here and I typed in 2 years, weekly candle, and it continued not to have resistance over a year up to this point right here where I started, checking it out. At first, I saw $1 million. I guess I was on the wrong candlestick. I mean, 1 million shares in volume, and I thought this didn't really have any value. Thank God that I sold anyway because I was wrong looking back now. But it had back in 2023 of December, so um, about a little bit over a year ago, it had 58,000 million shares. So I was like, okay, I didn't know this was had that much value, but I'm like, this has to be resistance. Today it's saying that it had, or not today. Let's see what it says. Today it's saying half a billion, but I don't really believe that shit. I don't believe that shit. Um, where's the value? NITO. A quarter billion shares. So um, that's what it's saying right now. So I don't think it would have went up to that dollar amount. Of what was the dollar amount here? 754. I don't think it would have went to that point, and I didn't want to test it to see and find out. I wasn't up for it. Um, so I got in, as you can see here, and I was trading multiple stocks at once today. Um, but I got in here, and I got in pretty high. Uh, I got in pretty high here compared to the rest of the chart. Um, and I was just anticipating that it was going to go even higher. Um, I chased it. When you look back, I realized that I chased it, and it pulled back, and I was down some, probably like $500, and it started spiking, or it a market open. I was trading two stocks at once, and this spiked, came back down, as you see here. Um, I'm trying to get you a better view. But as you can see, I chased it, and then market open. Um, it dumped, and it was just a reminder that I keep telling myself, hey, if you can't get low under VWAP, don't don't trade at all. That was my warning to myself last week. If you can't get VWAP, um, if you can't get VWAP, don't trade pre-market. And under view, if you can't get an entry under VWAP, which is this line right here, don't trade it, because if you're trading above VWAP, you're buying. Most people are up on their shares right now, and they're looking to sell. So when you're buying above VWAP, people are looking to sell at that point. If you're buying under VWAP, people are down on their money, and other people are looking to buy. So for me to be buying above VWAP, that's a bad thing. So I bought above VWAP anyway, thinking it was going to go higher, and I'm like, here you go again. It's down now. You could have just waited to market open and dropped some. You would have got a better entry, not too much better, but it would have been better. I bought here and I bought even higher here, which is bad. Um, yeah, I was up already, so I bought here, and then I was up, and I bought even more, which is a good ad. Excuse me, but still, like, it's not about. It went ended up. The only reason why I'm saying that is because I got lucky because it didn't go lower than my average by too much, you know, or where I should have bought. So it's like I got lucky this time, but ended up pulling back here, bouncing, pulling back again, holding this panic support, and then spiking. I don't control whether the stock is going to go up or not. I just anticipate. I thought it would go up based off of the indicators that I evaluated, and I don't evaluate too much. And I just sat there and waited. And based off of my anticipation, it ended up going in my favor. Um, um, and then it spiked, and I was up. I didn't know how much I was because this right here sometimes it fades away. So it's like I never really know how much I'm up or not. I have an idea because I can do the math in my head, but I don't care to do that. I want to know. Like some traders, they don't want to know how much they're up. They don't want to think about the money. Unfortunately, I'm different. I want to think about the money. My state of mind, I know. Um, my state of mind is like I'm looking to make 5 to 10% on my trades. And if it's a really slow market, I'm looking to make about 2.5% on my trades, or just not trade at all. Um, and at this moment, I was looking for 5 to 10%. So I knew I was up. I traded about 5 to 6 grand for every trade I traded today. In this trade, I was up about 10%, and I'm looking for 5 to 10%. So I'm looking for $250 to $500 in gain, and I was already up my 10%. But I'm like, I can see this speaking to me, or not really speaking to me. That's not good enough to explain the trade, but I can see the indicators. I can see it holding support. I could see it bouncing. It was holding support here. It bounced right here, held support, came back down, held support, and started picking back up. And that way, it's kind of like speaking to me, telling me what the possibility of the stock can do. So I just held and I held, and I was focused on two different stocks at once. And this one spiked, and I was like, "Oh shit, it's spiking!" And I quickly entered my order at $2.58 for my entry of like $2.22 and sold. So I made about, you do the math is like what is that, 8.30 and then 28 plus another 8, so about 36 cents I made in total. 36 cents per share, which was $1,118. And my goal was to make only 10%, and I ended up making 20%, over 20%. And that's great and all. But I had an idea that it would probably go even higher because it was breaking a yearly high, and it didn't really have much resistance above that. And I was right; it went up even higher. I just wasn't down to go for a home run. And I was kind of already going for a home run, which I don't want to go for a home run because that's being greedy and going for a lot. But um, yeah, like I'm not going. I'm not trying to go for a home run here. Uh, I'm not. I kind of already did because I made my target goal, and then I went after more, which is bad. So um, I need to be a little bit more disciplined. But the stock was showing me signs that it could keep going higher by by not having too much resistance and the flow. The only thing that made me uncomfortable was the amount of shares that was available. I mean, the amount of shares that can be dumped. But towards the end, it's currently 12.21. But towards the end, the stock started dumping. So, um, you know, I'm glad that I sold when I sold because yeah, it went even higher. But if I kept holding and hoping for a home run that this stock will go to the moon, I would have been sadly mistaken. So my next trade was CYCC, which I was trading at the same time I was trading NITO, as you just saw here. Oh my gosh, this looks ugly and crazy. What the fuck? This looks crazy. Yo, I don't even know how I traded this stock. That's how crazy it looks. So choppy. Um, all right, so I remember this stock um, and how I traded it. Pre-market, it was moving like a low flow. I was like, oh shit, it's moving fast. And right here, I was like, it was right here, it was moving, and it pulled back, and I wanted to get in right here, but I was like, I gotta do my research first because it's moving like a low flow. Um, so I went in and I looked at it, and it was like 11 million float with a not too much overhead. So I'm like, okay, cool, not too many outstanding shares. Um, so I'm like, okay, cool. And I looked at the price of the stock; it was currently like at like 70 cents. So anytime a stock is under $1, I divide the float by 10. Um, that's just how all traders do it, and that's how you can get a more accurate float. So when I divided it by 10, it was like okay, 1.1 million float instead of 11 million float. I forgot the explanation on why we do it, but just know like it's instead of it being $1, $2, $3, it's under $1. So it's gonna move differently with the normal amount of shares of whole dollars. When it's under $1, it moves faster. So I saw this as a 1.1 million float, even though it said 11 million float. These are very helpful. It lets you know like valuable details um, immediately, so I don't have to go searching for it. So this tells you whether it's a low, high, medium uh, offering ability. I haven't paid for these subscriptions because I'm like until I start trading profitably and consistently, and I can actually make some money. That's when I'm going to invest more money into this. But for now, I got to work with what I got. But as you know, it's 11 million shares outstanding. They're spending about 2.21 this past quarter. And they got literally 2.7 million shares, $1 million available to spend. So they're about to go broke this quarter. So that lets me know that. And then they withdrew their offerings, just like it said earlier. Um, they had these uh, warrants here at $1.35, $3.19. I don't care too much about how much they have. I just look at what they're doing. Then I look here and if I can find it. Nope. So I'm gonna look here. Look at the yearly chart and tell me, have they already reached that dollar amount? So I know that because they have to reach that dollar amount to be able to start selling. So 135 and 319. So, and then you look at the dates. This is April 2024, December 2023. So, where's April? April, they're at around $2. So I know they reached this right here. This is December 2023. So if I go look, it most likely is gonna be active. Because this one's active already because they reached that dollar amount at that time in April. And if I look back here, same thing too. And this is not registered. This one probably didn't hit that dollar amount around this price. But I'm sure it probably did because this is 5 years ago, 2020. So these companies, they will hold on to offerings for years and years and trick you saying, oh yeah, 75 cents. But they already hit that $75 right here. $75 or $61, and they'll act like, oh, they never reached that price, but really they did 4 or 5 years ago. And they know that people are not going to look all the way down into 4 or 5 years ago, and they'll let it sit active for 5 years, and no one knows that it's active, and then they'll pump it up. And people don't think it's going to go down because they don't see these shares to dump, and then they would dump it on you, and you're wondering, why did the stock go down? There's no shares available to dump. And it's really, if you look further down the line, you'll see that they did have one from years ago that's been sitting there active for years. They're sick with the game. Like this one, $600 registered, still registered. They're sick with the game, bro. They're sick with it. 2017, almost 10 years ago. They'll let it sit. They're sick with it, man. They're sick with it. So back to trading. It was moving like a low flow. And see, the thing too, it's 10 years ago, right? So a lot of these charts, a lot of these software, these trading platforms, they don't have data from 10 years ago. So if they really wanted to, they can manipulate the fuck out of you, because you don't know. You don't have data from 10 years ago to see if it even reached that dollar amount. But it was moving like a low flow, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna tease it and trade a little bit. I was only supposed to put a few $1,000s in there, not 5,000. But I threw the whole thing in there because I'm like, hey, I want to just trade it. And I wanted to get in here, but by the time I got back, it was already up here. And I was like, all right, let me shoot my shot. I'll cut here and see what it does from here. My entries all day today were horrible. And the only reason why I made this much money, which is $3,500, was simply because The trade ended up going my way. I did nothing special, nothing significant, no performance improvement skill to trade this. It was simply it went in my favor because I held long enough. Um, some of those trades hit my target goal and I held on because I'm like, it looks like it can keep going. Now that's not good because I gotta learn to be disciplined and cut when it's time to cut. What if it hit my target goal and just kept going down? Then what? And that's where I gotta improve at. So I bought here, it consolidated, okay, pulled back a little bit, consolidated, and it spiked. Um, I seen the low float capabilities, how it was fluctuating, and I sold. I held on and I sold immediately here. So I'm like, all this week, these stocks have been just dumping and not performing well. So I'm like, I don't trust that it will continue to rise. So I have to be extra careful. So that's what happened, and then it ended up spiking, and I sold. And then market open, it dumped. I was like grateful that, and the market opened here too when I sold, but I was grateful that it dumped. And when it halted, it pulled back some. Um, I bought right here. I didn't think it was gonna break this point, but it did, and it hit my target goal. And I'm sure I went in a little bit less with shares. Um, but then it hit not my target goal. It hit my sell point, and I was ready to get out, but I'm like, it looks like it can keep holding. Or before it actually even hit my sell point, I added, and then it hit it, and it kept going down. And then I'm like, let me just give it time. It might bounce. If it doesn't, I'll just take the loss. And I'm in too big, to be honest with you. I'm in way too big. I shouldn't be risking 10%. I should be risking like 2.5% or less. And I think I was down about $500 or close to $500 just trade. At first, I made about $1,000 here. The first trade, I made 1,000 on this one. The trade before that with NITO, I made $1,000 as well. So I was up $1,000, and then I was down like 500. So I was like only up 500 for the day. And then it started bouncing. My average was like somewhere around here. And then it pulled back and had this big drop, but it didn't break this level. And I'm like, it was just holding. And it perked up, and I was like, you know what? I don't think it's gonna go any higher, so I sold. I was anticipating that it was gonna squeeze, but I didn't get that. And I sold here, and I'm selling at the very top, but not really. I'm just selling into spikes, into strength, which is good. I'm not really selling at the top. I'm selling into strength, and that's an improvement right there. But my entries are all overall poor. But that was that trade. Um, and then this trade right here, KITT. Shit, I don't remember how I trade this, to be honest. I don't even remember. I don't remember, but something clearly caught my eye in this trade. But yeah, it was a poor trade because they ended up. I know I told myself to not go full size, and I ended up going full size anyway. And it ended up pulling back. I was probably down a substantial amount, and I just waited, and it just started climbing up. I gave it time to climb up, and eventually I just sold. I just sold. I can't remember, and I just finished trading this. That's crazy. Um, but uh, that was that trade, and I did pretty well this trade. So there you go. But all in all, this is the total amount of money that I made today. Um, this is the total amount of money that I made today. 3,500. It's not a typical day that I make this kind of money, and this is all paper trading, so it don't really matter. Um, but um, I just got to keep practicing the discipline. I don't care about actually make trading live until I get discipline. Right now, my entries are where I need to improve. A few months ago, or maybe a year ago, I was struggling to sell into strength, and now today I did. I just sold into strength, sold into strength, sold into strength. So I gotta keep improving myself, refine some things, and just buy under view up or at the lowest point that I can see possible. Stick to my cuts, and then go from there. But there's a lot of room for improvement. Um, there's a lot of room for improvement, and it's just got to keep performing, keep practicing, and um, eventually, I'm just going to be consistent, be disciplined, go from there.